like to share with you something nice in this week's Parshas Chukas from the Rebbe's father, Rabbi Levi Yitzchok Zatzal. Rabbi Levi Yitzchok has a novel pshat in a Gemara on this week's Parsha, on this week's Parsha, Daf Samach Aleph in Mesichte Nido. The Gemara over there expounds the verse in the end of this, on the end of Parshas Chukas, where it says that Moshe Rabbeinu and all the Yidden were on the threshold going into Eretz Yisrael. And first it says that they came to Sichon, and the Sichon Melech HaMoiri came out and they waged the war, and Moshe Rabbeinu won. And then it says, Vayifnu Vayalo Derech HaBoshan, they came to Boshan, and Oig Melech HaBoshan came out against the Yidden. And here all of a sudden it says in the Pasuk, Vayem Hashem al Moshe, Hashem tells Moshe, Al tira oisei, do not be scared of him. He wasn't scared of Sichon, but he was scared of Oig. So the Gemara darshans in Mesichte Nida, the Gemara said like this, Omar Rabbi Yochanan, Omar Rabbi Shimon ben Yochai. Rabbi Yochanan said in the name of Rabbi Shimon ben Yochai, Mitshuvosei shel oisei tzadik, from the way Hashem answered to Moshe Rabbeinu the tzaddik, we can understand what was going through his mind and what was in his heart. The fact that the Eibishter had to tell him, don't be scared of him, is mashma, understood that Moshe Rabbeinu was scared of him. And therefore Hashem tells him, don't. What was he scared about? So the Gemara says, perhaps the schus of Avram will stand by Oig. Shenemar, like it says in the Pasuk, Vayovay hapolit v'yaged la'Avram Ivri. The polit came in Parshas Lech Lecha and told Avram, Rabbi Yochanan, who's this polit, the one who ran away, was the Oig shepolit medoir hamavel. The Rebbe's father asks of it two kashas. Number one, the loshon of the Gemara from the answer of the Eibishter, from the answer to this tzaddik, to Moshe Rabbeinu, we understand what was in his heart. Why does the Gemara use the expression mitshuvose from the answer to this tzaddik? The Gemara should have said straight, mitshuvose shalakadosh baruch hu, from the answer from the Eibishter to him. Al tiroise, I understood that Moshe Rabbeinu was scared. Why does the Torah use the language? The Gemara use the language oisei tzaddik. Also, the Gemara doesn't really explain what was the schus that Oig had that Moshe Rabbeinu was concerned about. It just says Shema Tamud li schusay shel Avram Avinu, the schus of Avram Avinu, something connected specifically to Avram Avinu. Some Mefarshim say, oh, he was the one who told him that Lavan was captured. But then it should have said, says Rabbi Levi Yitzchok, Shema Tamud loy, perhaps it would stand by Oig the schus mashehigid l'Avram Avinu, what he told Avram Avinu. Since the Gemara uses the lesson schus shel Avram Avinu, means a schus that Avram Avinu, a schus that's connected to Avram Avinu specifically. Expounds Rabbi Levi Yitzchok and says, and it's interesting, the Gemara bears Rabbi Shimon ben Yochai. Ties Rabbi Levi Yitzchok and says, the Gemara is hinting when it says the word oisei tzaddik to what it says in Zoyar in this week's parsha. The Zoyar expounds on the verse Al tira oisoi, don't be scared of him, and says, is an interesting remez over in the pasuk with the word oisoi. The Zoyar connects it to what it says later when you find a lost object. It says you're supposed to keep it till adroi shachicha oisoi, till your brother, your friend comes and seeks it. Oisoi also it says over there, but over there we understand by a lost object, the person must give a simon, he must give a sign. So the word oisoi over there by the lost object is ois, from the word sign. Says the Zoyar also over here, Al tira oisoi is hinting what was the schus of Oig. Ois goes on the schus of Mila, that Oig Melech HaBoshan was gemalet. And the Rebbe's father says this is also connected to the pasuk, because you look at the pasuk, it says Vayovi Hapolit, and then it says, who was he? Who Baalei Bris Avram. He was part of the group of Mamre. It says in Yalkut, in Parshas Lech Lecha, that Mamre told Avram Avinu that yes, listen to Hashem and you should be gemalit. Others told him, discouraged him. Oig was part of that group that was also gemalit. He circumcised himself, and he was part of Anshe Beisoi, the household of Avram Avinu, like it says in the end of Parshas Lech Lecha, that made the circumcision, that was gemalit. So Oig had the schus of Avram Avinu, the mitzvah that Hashem gave Avram Avinu. And this is what the Gemara is hinting over here. Mitshuvosei shel oisei tzaddik, says the Rebbe's father. The Gemara is also hinting to what it says in Zoyar, what the Rashbi says. Oisei tzaddik means the ois, the sign of milah, which you are a tzaddik. The Zoyar says, brings Rabbi Yitzchok in the beginning of Parshas Noach. If a person is gemalit, and also he makes sure that he uses out that part of his body for the purpose of Hashem in a holy way, to being puruvu, the mitzvah, and not to violate it in the negative ways, then he's called a tzaddik. Moshe Rabbeinu was that tzaddik. And that's what the Gemara says, oisoi, ois, that sign of milah, tzaddik, which you are called. Moshe Rabbeinu was a tzaddik. So Moshe Rabbeinu was concerned, I have that sign, but Oig also has it. And that's why the Gemara uses the Lashon schusay shel Avram Avinu, the schus of Avram Avinu of milah. Continues the Zoyar and says that Hashem told Moshe Rabbeinu, Al tiro, he said, don't be concerned about that ois that Oig had, that he was gemalit, because later on he abused and chas v'sholem used out that part of his body in negative ways, in znus and aroyos, in improper behavior. Moshe Rabbeinu was oisei tzaddik. He was that true tzaddik, the tzaddik yisoid oilam, the tzaddik who keeps the koyach yisoid in a pure way. But don't worry about Oig. And there's no pshat in the Gemara with the schus was the schus of milah, and the Gemara with the Zoyar is all connected at one. That's why the Gemara uses the word oisei tzaddik. And now, in the pattern of Rabbi Yitzchok, he also says this fits with the gematria. If you take the word oisei tzaddik, it adds up exactly to the word habris, to the covenant, this mitzvah of milah of Avram Avinu. Oig, says the Rebbe's father, adds up to 79. Yisoid, which is the foundation, the Yitzchak Yisod Oilam of the mitzvah of milah, adds up to 80. Oig was one short of Yisoid. To teach you, he did not reach to that tzaddik Yisod Oilam the way Moshe Rabbeinu did. And that's why oisei tzaddik, that tzaddik Moshe Rabbeinu, he would tzaddik Yisod Oilam. Hashem told him, Al tiro, oisei, don't worry about the schus that you think that Oig Melech HaBashan had. This is such a new novel pshat in the Gemara. Look it up more in details. He has it in this week's Parsha, on the Zoyar. A good Shabbos.